Hello everyone, welcome to Joe Consume Cinema. I am your host. Oh no, someone's taken Carl's brain. That is what I have been trying to tell you. Oh really? But you haven't been very specific about it. No, I haven't. They say if I tell no one, I'm gonna lose my job dancing in front of the car wash. And today we have another installment in the Joe Revisit series with the 1982 film The Thing. Now, this is probably my favorite sci-fi of all time. I'd say I first saw this movie when I was 12. Thank you, Mom and Dad. And not a year goes by without me watching it at least once, because it's that damn good. So, right off the bat, you have great performances by Kurt Russell, Keith David, but also just the atmosphere, the practical effects. So many things about this movie just make it seem timeless. Like, I could watch this movie 40 years from now and still enjoy the hell out of it, and I know other people who feel the exact same way. So I don't need to go into too much, back history with this one. This is one of the most beloved and famous films of all time. Um, yeah, we're just gonna get right into this one. As always, remember to blank, blank, and blank. Trying to get more subscribers. Any help you can give me there is always much appreciated. I have this revisit series, and it's just, my kind of clever excuse to go back to films that I love and, review and react to them again. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. And if you like what you see, stick around and consider subscribing. And with that, let's get right to the movie. Even the intro is so fucking cool. I love that. I've shown this movie to like dozens of people for the first time, and it's always the same. Why are they shooting at the dog? Why don't they leave the dog alone?
Der kom der weg. Der Hurricane mich hier nicht. Der Anschlagsding. Der imitieren mich nicht. Merke wirklich. Kommt der weg, Idioten!
Nice shot. I do know that for anybody that speaks Norwegian, you have the entire plot of the film spoiled in the first, couple minutes of the movie, unfortunately, because of what he said. I think it's fair to say the crew is properly freaked out. Doesn't make any sense.
I doubt if anybody's talked to anybody on this entire continent, and you want me to reach somebody.
Totally cut off and isolated. It's the perfect horror setting, because there's no help coming.
Loaded with kerosene. I count 15 cans.
McCready! Mac, get your gear on! You don't want to fly, we don't fly.
You really want to save those crazy Swedes, huh?
Norwegians. Which way, Doc? Stop with!
The audience knows very early on something's wrong. If I have one small criticism of this movie, it's that the intro, where the flying saucer is hurtling towards Earth, I personally would have cut that because I think it works better just not knowing anything about this. You're still confused by the way, the Norwegians are going after that dog in the beginning, but still, like, you have an inkling that it's somehow related to aliens just because of the saucer in the beginning, which if you edited that out, it would just be completely dark. You'd be like, what the hell is going on? I have no clue whatsoever. And here we have our first victim. I love the use of the silhouette. You know who it is, even though you don't know his name. But yep, that's how it starts. John Carpenter certainly did like blowing up sets. This place looks like it got hit by an airstrike.
Hey, Sweden!
Norwegian, Mac.
Mac the Norwegian. Mac!
Multiple cuts on the wrist. Sliced deep through his own throat. And on the other wrist. Establishes very early that he wanted to die and die very quickly. Again, just a great way to set things up. Because the audience is immediately drawn in, but they have no idea what the hell happened.
Portable video unit.
Is that a man in there or something?
Whatever it is, they burn it up in a hurry.
Secret's out.
We found this.
Ugh. It's so disgusting and gross. I love it. Really good practical effects are almost like a lost art at this point. It's unfortunate, but too much CGI in films in general. You know, the context that you have after you've watched it once, and then looking at that thing. Man, what a brutal way to go.
Well, what we got here is what appears to be, anyway, a normal set of internal organs. Heart, lungs, kidneys, liver, intestines. Seem to be normal.
The animals are always the first to know. Ugh. Oh my god. Ugh. So disgusting. Features of all the different forms of, life it's consumed. We see it throughout the movie. Wonder what its original form would actually look like. Something I've always been curious about. Yep, get me the fuck out of there.
It's weird and pissed off, whatever it is.
Bennings, go get Childs.
Mac wants the flamethrower.
Mac wants the what?
That's what he said. Now move.
Ugh. Jesus Christ.
Get your ass over here.
Oh my god. Just completely awestruck. Never been in a situation even remotely close to this. I think a lot of them are ex-military too.
Oh my God. Oh. An organism that imitates other life forms, and it imitates them perfectly. When this thing attacked our dogs, it tried to digest them, absorb them, and in the process shape its own cells to imitate them. This, for instance, that's not dog. It's imitation. We got to it before it had time to finish.
I think every child in America should watch this film and have it be their first nightmare.
How long were you alone with that dog?
I don't know, an hour, hour and a half, maybe. What the hell you looking at me like that for?
At this point, it could have infected any of them. We know at least one confirmed at this point.
Looks like something buried under the ice.
Now, that's a painting, but it's still really well done.
I'd say the ice it's buried in is 100,000 years old, at least.
I've always wondered what motivated the thing to come to Earth to begin with. Why here? Just roaming the galaxy looking for, any planet with life on it? That simple, or something more?
They dig it up, they cart it back.
It gets thawed out, wakes up, probably not in the best of moods. I don't know. Why
What
do
are
I
you
compare?
disrespectful man been tossing his dirty drawers in the kitchen trash can? Huh? But now I want my kitchen clean, all right? Germ-free.
Because it's different than us, see? Because it's from outer space. What do you want from me?
Yeah, he's been trying to wrap his head around this, and he comes to only one possible conclusion. That's why he does what he does.
We ought to just burn these things.
Can't burn the find of the century. That's going to win somebody the Nobel Prize.
You got the keys.
Get them from Gary. I want to get some stuff out of here.
It could have imitated 1,000,000 life forms on 1,000,000 planets. Could change into any one of them at any time. Now it wants life forms on Earth.
It's getting cold in here, Fuchs, and I haven't slept in
Wait a
2
minute,
days.
Mac, wait a minute. It needs to be alone and in close proximity with the life form to be absorbed. The chameleon strikes in the dark.
So is Blair cracking up, or what?
Damn it, McCready, there is still cellular activity in these burned remains. They're not dead yet.
Let's go, Bennings. I gotta get some sleep.
Ripped right through his jacket and his shirt.
Bennings was right there, Mac. I swear to God it had a hold of him. It isn't Bennings.
That was one of those things out there, trying to imitate him, Gary. We gotta burn the rest of them.
Mac is smart. So right away we established that it takes, a decent amount of time for it to transform. Maybe like a minute or so passed, and it still wasn't done transforming, but it knew, it had been spotted, so it tried to get away, so it could finish. It takes a couple of minutes to absorb, a fully grown adult male.
Blair?
Disabling the choppers so nobody can get out. Smart.
You got it, Nick, huh? Well, that's fine. Most of you don't know what's going on around here. Hold on, damn well. Sure, some of you do.
Christ.
What Blair does here actually gives them a fighting chance. There's no way to get out. There's no way to communicate.
Get a table from the lab.
You think that thing wanted to be an animal? No dogs make it 1,000 miles to the coast. No, you don't understand. That thing wanted to be ours. Still gets out. Imitate everything on the face of the earth. I don't know who to trust. I said watch Clark. And watch him close.
Close proximity to the dog. So yeah, that makes the most sense.
Somebody in this camp ain't what he appears to be. Right now, that may be 1 or 2 of us. By spring, it could be all of us.
So how do we know who's human? If I was an imitation, a perfect imitation, how would you know if it was really me?
Interesting that everyone in this shot is human at this point.
A test, Doc?
Well, yeah, possibly. I've been thinking about a blood serum test.
What's that?
We could take a sample of each person's blood. Could mix it with uncontaminated blood. I suppose if there's a reaction, we'd know who isn't human.
Hey, you guys, come here!
So much for the blood serum test.
Somebody got to the blood.
Could anybody have gotten it from you, Doc?
I don't see how. As soon as I'm finished, I return it right away.
Great.
When was the last time you used it?
Huh? A day or so ago, I guess.
I suppose
Somebody could have lifted it off me.
Oh, come on. That key ring of yours is always hooked to your belt.
Listen, I'm accusing everybody. Hey, you stop it, man. It ain't worth it. Copper's the only one who's got any business with it.
Oh, now wait a minute, Gary. You've been in here on several occasions. Doc thought of the test.
You know, the infighting, the paranoia, all benefits the thing. And when you rewatch, you notice who it is and how they stoke the argument.
No. I'll put this right through your head.
You guys gonna listen to Gary? You gonna let him give the orders? I mean, he could be one of those things.
Windows. Wait a minute. Just take it easy. Put the gun down.
I don't know about Copper, but I give you my word I did not go near that blood.
I know I'm human. And if you were all these things, then you'd just attack me right now.
Yep.
So some of you are still human.
Very logical
It
look.
doesn't want to show itself. It wants to hide inside an imitation. It'll fight if it has to, but it's vulnerable out in the open. If it takes us over, then it has no more enemies. Nobody left to kill it. And then it's one.
Separates the three most prominent suspects, even though none of them are it. But right now they could easily be guilty, so it makes sense.
One other thing. I think it rips through your clothes when it takes you over. Windows found some shredded long johns, but the name tag was missing. They could be anybody's. Nobody trusts anybody now. We're all very tired.
You know, they're all really worn down. Plays to the thing's advantage. Eventually, they have to sleep. I don't think this thing does. That's acid. He was gonna throw it in his face.
One or two ideas. But McCready, I've been thinking. If a small particle of this thing is enough to take over an entire organism, then everyone should prepare their own meals. And I suggest we only eat out of cans.
Again, smart.
All right.
So the situation, you know, is insane, right? But you can reason your way out of it. You just gotta keep your cool and just, you know, think through each problem. Oh, man.
Anybody see Fuchs? Somebody blew out a fuse in the lab. Lights were out in there for an hour. Any one of us could have gotten to him. All right. We gotta find him. Knowles, why don't you come with me and we'll look outside. Palmer, you and Windows check the inside.
I ain't going with Windows. I ain't going with him. I'll go with Child.
Hey, fuck you, Palmer!
And everybody watch whoever you're with. Real close.
It's clever enough to misdirect, you know, the mob. The clothes found of McCready's all torn up.
Blair, have you seen Fuchs?
Yes.
Stay out here and
He tied a
come
noose.
Back inside. Funny things. I hear funny things out here.
Is it Fuchs?
Yep, there's his glasses.
Yeah. Why would it burn him?
Claire! Maybe he tried to burn it!
Maybe he burned himself before it could get to him.
Yep, he got attacked and took his own self out.
Hey! All of you, come here!
Perfect imitation, even down to the heart defect.
Close that door.
loose on the line up by his shack.
Cut him loose?
Yeah, we were up checking around his place. I found this. Look. It was stashed in his old oil furnace. Wind must have dislodged it, but I don't think he saw me find it. I made sure I got ahead of him on the tow line on the way back. I cut him loose.
McCready?
He's one of them.
When do you think it got to him?
I don't know.
Could have been any time, anywhere, if it did get to him.
Hey, look, Childs, come on.
When the lights went out.
That would have been the perfect time.
Right. You said guys were missing, and Winters, where were you?
Hey, Palmer, I took you
Where were you?
Let's open it.
Hell no. You think he's changed into one of those things?
Plenty of time.
Nothing human could have made it back here in this weather without a guideline.
Let's open it now.
Why are you so damn anxious to let him in here?
Because they're so close. Maybe our best chance to blow it away.
No! Just let him freeze to death outside.
Childs, what if we're wrong about him?
Why then we're wrong?
Where's that man, McCready? All right, kid, whatever the hell you are.
Anyone messes with me and the whole camp goes. Come on, child, burn me. Put those torches on the floor and back off. You asshole.
You'd have done the same thing.
Don't argue with him.
Where's the rest?
Hey, I'm in it. It's cool, McCready. It's cool, man. Come on. Not breathing.
One time, Doc. Now nobody gets out of my sight.
Damn right.
So you sweethearts are about to have yourselves a little lynching party, huh? Well, I might just have to put an end to you on Johnny Principle's dolls. Ever occur to the jury that anybody could have got some of my clothes and stuck them up the furnace?
We ain't buying that.
Quit that bickering over there. Williams, wheel that defibrillator over here. Take these from those panels.
You're gonna have to sleep sometime, McCready.
Oh, I'm a real light sleeper, Childs.
Clear!
Clear.
Oh my god. See you, Doc. I love it. Yeah, let the damn thing burn. Still looks better than 95% of the effects of today. Telling you, it's a lost art.
You gotta be fucking kidding.
Ugh. Even the sound design, too, is great.
He ain't tying me up.
Then I'll have to kill you, child.
Then kill me.
I mean it.
I love this shot. With the blade in focus. Bang.
Watching Norris in there gave me the idea that maybe every part of him was a whole. Every little piece was an individual animal with a built-in desire to protect its own life. You see, when a man bleeds, it's just tissue. The blood from one of you things won't obey when it's attacked. It'll try and survive. Crawl away from a hot needle, say.
Yeah, this idea of a collective organism where each cell, acts as its own sentient life is very weird, but also fascinating. Also, right on the tip of the thumb is probably the last place I'd cut. First time watching it, you suspect it's going to be him just of how he's looking right in this scene, but then it's like, well, wait a minute, does this test even work?
Put that on and watch them.
It's a crock of shit.
Let's try the Doc and Clark.
Yeah, Doc was obviously a human. He got attacked by one of them.
And Clark was human, huh? Which makes you a murderer, don't it?
Palmer now.
This is pure nonsense. Doesn't prove a thing.
I thought you'd feel that way, Gary. You were the only one that could have got to that blood. We'll do you last.
Yep. I love it.
What is it?
Windows, you suck. Shout out to whoever did the pyrotechnic and explosive work in this film. It's excellent.
Let's do it.
Cut me loose! Come on, get me out of here! Cut me loose, damn it!
I love Keith David.
I know you gentlemen have been through a lot. But when you find the time, I'd rather not spend the rest of this winter
Tied to this fucking couch!
We're going out to give Blair the test. If he tries to make it back here and we're not with him, burn him.
Yeah, leaving Blair isolated like that, he was just begging to be, eaten.
Something he's been making.
It's a ship of some kind. He stole the parts from the helicopter.
I think I saw Childs outside the main entrance of the camp.
What's he doing outside?
Got back inside and blew the generator. 6 hours, it'll be 100 below in here.
Well, that's suicide.
Not for that thing. It wants to freeze now. It's got no way out of here. It just wants to go to sleep in the cold until the rescue team finds it. Whether we make it or not, we can't let the thing freeze again. Maybe we'll just warm things up a little around here.
Committed to defeating it, even if it means their end.
But neither's that thing.
Again, Carpenter just loves destroying sets.
We gotta bring this whole place right down into the ice. Gary, Blanchard's in the old storage room. Nall's down by the generator.
Only real mistake McCready makes is right here. Separating his men. Never split up in a horror film. Great shot. Even that just gets set up so simply, but so beautifully. Just, failing flashlight, that's all it takes. Knowles really should have said something here. He knows something's wrong, but he just goes in quietly on his own.
I said, how's it?
He already knows. Pure nightmare fuel. All the different species that it's absorbed over its time.
Fuck you too!
Great explosion. Goodbye, set. Massive fireball.
You the only one who made it?
Not the only one.
Did you kill it?
Where were you, Charles?
Thought I saw Blair. I went out after him. Got lost in the storm. How will we make it?
Maybe we should.
If you're worried about me,
If we've got any surprises for each other, I don't think we're in much shape to do anything about it.
Okay, took some time just to gather my thoughts. Fantastic as always. Every time I watch it, I still love it. It's as good this time as it was the first time I watched it when I was like 12. But yeah, just super well done. Very creative, great idea, great concept, and execution. A lot of the sound design choices are great. They go underrepresented. The pyrotechnics, the explosions, even some of the small stunts here and there. Those are all really great, and they still hold up even to this day. Practical effects is really, when it's well done, it's an art form, and it feels increasingly like a lost art form. Studios would rather just spend the money and have it done with CGI, and there's something that gets lost. And the thing I've learned over the years is CGI is only good if they take the time to actually do it right. And a lot of times studios think, just use CGI. It'll save a bunch of time and it'll be, so much more simplified. And they end up with this terrible product. It's why sometimes it's great, sometimes it's terrible. So I really think bringing back more practical effects will just make the overall movie-going experience better again. You can track the lineage of the thing, from the dog entering the camp to Norris is the first victim. You see the silhouette as the dog enters that room. You see the very distinct silhouette of Norris. He's got the poofy hair and all that. And then it goes from Norris to either Bennings is the next or Palmer. I feel like Bennings or Palmer can almost be interchangeable because the one who attacks them is obviously is different. For Palmer, it's probably Norris that attacks him, and for Bennings, it was the thing that they brought back from the Norwegian camp. So the timeline of it kind of crossed a little bit, but it makes sense that way. You're dealing with an organism that's been alive for hundreds of thousands of years, if not longer than that, and it's very clever at how it's, plays on their paranoia and misdirection. The best example of it is obviously when they find the ripped up uniform of MacReady's, and MacReady is the one that's kind of guiding the group towards, the right end, where we should be suspicious of each other, but we need to, think about this logically and, actually tackle this problem because it's a real threat. And MacReady's one of the first people to really recognize that and actually do things in a productive way. Blair, he recognizes the threat, but it makes him have like a almost psychotic break. Now, don't get me wrong, what Blair does in destroying the chopper and all the other equipment, anything that they can communicate with is very important. It's very important because it allows the story to play itself out. It actually gives the humans a fighting chance, because otherwise the thing would have, escaped somehow. And yeah, that's why we're allowed to have the movie, is what Blair does. So he's kind of like the dark horse MVP in a lot of ways, just because of what he does. It actually gives the humans a chance to actually survive this. They're getting, progressively more tired and weakened down, and the thing is just biding its time. Mac eventually comes up with a test after getting falsely accused, and so many great scenes. I mean, the one that everybody goes to is obviously the scene where with the defibrillator and goes to shock him and his chest opens up and it's jaws and just clamps down and just rips his arms off, and then just great on top of great, because you go from that into the chest bursting open and flying everywhere, and then the head, as the body's being burned, the head rips itself off to get away from the flame. It's just so great even today, and it's one of those things that I feel like will hold up almost for forever. It'll just be revisited again and again and again and loved by, a newer generation of people, which is great. I love that for this film. The standout performances are obviously Kurt Russell, Keith David, also Wilford Brimley, but the rest of the cast does a good job too. I don't know their names offhand, but they do a serviceable job in this film, and they deserve credit too. And there's a lot of group work going on in this film. All the stunts, the pyrotechnics, the explosions, the sound design by Ennio Morricone, Carpenter just for his ideas. I know this is a remake. Carpenter adds his own flair and style to this story that makes it his own. So as far as I'm concerned, this is the only version of it. I've seen the older film, and it's not bad, but it doesn't really do anything for me, unfortunately. This is just way, way better. Just fantastic overall. Just a great product, and it's one of those things that, like I said, I can watch it every year from now until I die and still enjoy it, and I do. Usually around Halloween, and I'll probably put this out a little bit later because right now it's early September, but I'll kind of push it till late September. I'll see how long I can hold off, but this is one of those reactions that I'll definitely get up in the lead up to October, just because timing, it makes the most sense. But honestly, I could watch this any time of the year and still enjoy it. It's still great. I still love it. Also wanted to talk a bit about how you have this insane premise, the close encounter with this organism that again is fascinating because it's each individual cell is its own organism, so the organism in total is kind of like a collective organism, which I can't think of anything that behaves like that, but it has its own distinct features, and it's very creative and original in a way that I feel like a lot of times, especially in like Star Trek or other movies or whatever, it's always like, here's an alien that's obviously just a human with some stuff glued onto his face, or it really saps the creativity out of the idea of aliens to begin with, and it's just like, here's this humanoid thing, and it's boring. It's boring. It's a turnoff. It's like no one is interested in this really, but this is just so unique and just stands on its own. I've never come across any other, thing that even matches close to this. Even Alien. I just think it's more creative overall, just the idea of it. Not to say that, Alien and Aliens aren't great films. I love them too. It's just this for me is the ultimate sci-fi. It just stands the test of time. You can revisit it decades from now and you'll still enjoy it. At least I can. I don't know how other people feel. Let me know in the comments. One of the great things now is, now I have this up on my channel, and that makes me feel like super, super stoked. Just because while this is not my favorite movie, this is one of the most enjoyable for me to watch again and again. Honestly, to have this up on the channel, it just feels really good. Like I finally like accomplished, like it's like a channel milestone almost in a lot of ways, just because this is one of those things that when you follow a new reactor that you like, this is one of those movies where I'm always on the lookout for it, and I'll watch anybody react to this film, especially if it's their first time, just because it's so great, and I love the look in their faces when they see these key moments play out, but just amazing. Okay, now let's talk about the ending. So I think what we have here is a case of John Carpenter being a master filmmaker and people not really appreciating it, and I'll explain what I mean by that. So he's established something with this ending that I think is very, very difficult to repeat. And that's this idea of the eternal debate. And it's really just, a credit to him and what he can do with a film that this has gone on for the decades that it has gone on, because there are hundreds, if not thousands, of different theories on the ending of this film. Who is who, and all of that. And I really feel that that's just a credit to how good he is at what he does, because you need to understand that he's a guy that's kind of built his career on this idea of breaking the rules and knowing when to do it. And the ambiguous ending is definitely a rule breaker for sure. Also, just adding a monster to almost every film like he does is, again, a rule breaker. And I really think he spent a large portion of his career just doing things to spite the film teachers that he hated when he had to go to film school in order to, become a filmmaker. The traditional path, which I think he's given so many interviews over the years where he just spreads those people to, ribbons whenever it gets brought up. They have no idea what they're talking about. I literally made a career out of doing the opposite of what they said, and I'm one of the most respected and loved, you know, film buffs ever to exist. So, yeah, let's go through the ending because I know everybody has their take. I'm going to give you mine. So the explosion happens. We see MacReady, stumbling through the snow. At this point, he's been up, multiple days. The stress, everything has gotten to him. He's exhausted. He's got nothing left. One action in particular makes me think he's human, and that's this small moment. But he takes the blanket and he pulls it over himself. So at this point, no one is around. He's completely on his own, and yet he's trying to get warm. Now, I've watched, this entire sequence looking for shadows because, with Bennings, when he was taken over, you had about maybe a little less than a 2-minute window for the transformation to fully take effect. So I was looking for anything, any misshapen part of him, any weird shadow, anything like that. And I never found it because he's human. That's the, conclusion I've settled on. But yeah, he's alone. He pulls the blanket over himself. He's trying to get warm. You're witnessing a man freezing to death. And if it was the thing, it would just lie down, freeze in the cold, and then just wait for the rescue team to find it. The rescue team takes it back. It thaws out. We start the whole process over again, and, the thing goes to work taking over the planet. If he were the thing, that would be his course of action. He doesn't do that. He stumbles through the snow. He pulls the blanket over himself. He's trying to get warm. He finds a little bit of shelter. The camp is decimated at this point. There's almost nothing left. He just leans up against a post, essentially. And then Childs enters the frame. And now he has his flamethrower drawn on MacReady. MacReady turns around, and at this point, Childs has MacReady dead to rights. So if Childs were the thing, he would simply attack MacReady then and there. And you might be saying, well, he needs to know that, MacReady's the only one left. Well, he asks, are you the only one left? And MacReady says, not the only one, implying you and me. So, yeah, that little bit of information is, the go-ahead. If he's the thing, that's the point where he attacks. He doesn't do that. They're both human. Over the years, I've seen all the little different theories about this. There's the one where they say, oh, you can't see Child's breath. It's so obvious. It's him. And I literally have, gone to the clip of this on YouTube and just freeze framed it, to the exact point where you can see his breath. And it's like, what are you talking about? It's right there. It's at, 2:15 or whatever in the scene. There's the theory that Childs gets handed a bottle filled with kerosene and drinks it, and MacReady smiles at him because he knows now that he's really the thing, because, the thing isn't going to react to, what alcohol tastes like or anything like that. He's not going to know. But, yeah, that one is easily dismissed, in my opinion, because there's no scene where you ever see, them pouring kerosene into bottles. In order to make a Molotov cocktail, all you need is an alcohol bottle and a little piece of cloth. That's it. It's a very simple process. It's well established in the movie that they're all heavy drinkers. They're in this isolated area, and yeah, they drink a lot. So all they do is take, the alcoholic bottles and just turn them into Molotov cocktails. There's no, kerosene pouring or any of that. That's never established. They never talk about that. So that one is easily dismissed, in my opinion. There was a very popular one for a long time where people argued that Childs' wardrobe changed, but it doesn't. So the Blu-ray for this film came out in, I want to say 22 or 23, maybe a year, 2 years ago. And there's a still shot of just a room. There's a couple of them. He does it throughout the film. There's a still shot of a coat, a dark blue coat, and Childs is wearing it. At the ending, you see Childs, and it appears in like the previous versions in terms of quality of the film, like what could be shown. It's a very dark scene, but the coat looks white, and people thought, oh, Childs was attacked. The thing grabbed a new coat after the transformation because as it's been established, when an attack occurs, it rips through the clothes to get to the victim. So people were arguing, for years that, oh, his coat changed, it's white now. It used to be dark blue. When the Blu-ray version came out, the quality increased and people saw, okay, no, it's literally just frost and snow over the coat. It's the same coat. So, as I said, there have been hundreds, if not thousands, of different theories. I've heard them all. But, feel free to put your own down in the comments. It's just, I have an argument to refute every single one of them, I feel, at this point. I already explained my thought process, why, like, each little thing, why MacReady has to be human, why Childs has to be human. But more than that, I think this idea of noble sacrifice is very important to the ending of the film. And you don't really get that if one of them is the thing. I like this idea that they've gone through all of this stuff and still managed to achieve victory. I also like the idea that despite their victory, they can't trust one another just because of the nature of having dealt with the thing. You never can really know. And I love that about this ending because it also ties in a little bit to some social commentary that I think Carpenter was making at the time. You got to remember, this is a 1982 film. Mistrust between black and white is a very big social issue at the time. This is the Reagan era, but it's not something that ever gets talked about. So I think Carpenter kind of snuck it in a subtle way here. Now, this take of mine is going to be, a bit controversial. Like, people think I'm injecting, social commentary into Carpenter films. And all I have to say about that to those people is, what is your interpretation of They Live? Do you think that's not social commentary? Because that has a very overt class and economics based message of working people being oppressed. And he has that in his films. It's in there. I don't know why that's controversial, but apparently it is. But yeah, back to this ending. I think you get a couple of great things just because of what Carpenter set up here. You get the eternal debate. You get this idea of the noble sacrifice, and again, sacrifice only means anything if there's a cost to it, and there's a cost to it. Our heroes win at the end, but through mistrust and just the situation in order to get to that point, they're done for. So in that sense, it's a bit bleak, but it's an earned victory, and it comes at a cost, but they've essentially saved the world here. So yeah, honestly, I feel like what Carpenter has done with this film is something that rarely, if ever, will ever be repeated again, because he set so many things up. He's like I said, a master filmmaker. And yeah, I just think it's a fantastic way to end the film, because you still have all those elements that, were throughout. You still have the mistrust, you have the eternal debate, and like I said, that worked perfectly because to this day, people still argue about this film, many, many decades later, and I think for forever. I know, I feel like I've made a good argument for my take on it, but I know that people feel and think how they think, and, someone's going to be like, you're nuts. That's a terrible take. And, that's fine. Feel free to, say so in the comments. It doesn't bother me. But yeah, that's just where I am with it. Like I said, my favorite sci-fi film of all time, easily. One of my favorite directors of all time, and just masterful, just great. Something that you can revisit every year and still enjoy it, And I love that. That's just amazing. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got. So as always, thanks for watching, and peace.